Howdy Moz fans, welcome to another edition of Whiteboard Friday. I'm Cyrus Shepard, back in front of the whiteboard. So excited to be here today. We're talking about 10 tips to index and rank new content faster. So you publish some new content on your blog, on your website, and you sit around and you wait for it to be in Google's index, you wait for it to rank. It's a frustrating process. It can take weeks or months to see those rankings increase. There are a few simple things we can do to help nudge Google along to help them index it and rank it faster. Some very basic things, some more advanced things too. We're going to dive right in. So basically, indexing content is not that hard in Google. Google provides us with a number of tools. The simplest and fastest is probably the URL inspection tool. It's in the new Search Console, previously Fetch and Render. As of this filming, both tools still exist. They're depreciating Fetch and Render. So the new URL inspection tool allows you to submit a URL and tell Google to crawl it. And when you do that, they put it in their priority crawl queue. That just simply means Google has a list of URLs to crawl. It goes into the priority and it's going to get crawled faster and indexed faster. Another common technique is simply using sitemaps. If you're not using sitemaps, it's one of the easiest, quickest ways to get your URLs indexed. When you have them in your sitemap, you want to let Google know that they're actually there. And there's a number of different techniques that can actually optimize this process a little bit more. The first and the most basic one that everybody talks about is simply putting it in your robots text file. So in your robots text, you have a list of directives, and at the end of your robots text, you simply say sitemap, and you tell Google where your sitemaps are. You can do that for sitemap index files. You can list multiple sitemaps. It's really easy. You can also do it using the Search Console sitemap report. Another report in the new Search Console. You can go in there, you can submit sitemaps, you can remove sitemaps, validate. You can also do this via the Search Console API. But a really cool way of informing Google of your sitemaps that a lot of people don't use is simply pinging Google. You can do this in your browser URL. You simply type in google.com/ping and you put in the sitemap with the URL. You can try this out right now with your current sitemaps. Type it into the browser bar and Google will instantly queue that sitemap for crawling, and all the URLs in there should get indexed quickly if they meet Google's quality standard. So that's talking about indexing. Now there's some other ways that you can get your content indexed faster and help it to rank a little higher at the same time. So when you publish new content, basic, if you do nothing else, you want to make sure that you're linking from important pages. Important pages may be your home page, adding links to the new content, your blog, your resources page. This is a basic step that you want to do. You don't want to orphan those pages on your site with no incoming links. So, and adding the links tells Google two things. It says, we need to crawl this link sometime in the future, and it gets put in the regular crawling queue, but it also makes the link more important. Google can say, well, we have important pages linking to this. We have some quality signals to help us determine how to rank it. So linking from important pages. But a step that people oftentimes forget is not only link from your important pages, but you want to go back to your older content and find relevant places to put those links. A lot of people use, link on their homepage or link to older articles, but they forget that step of going back to the older articles on your site and adding links to the new content. Now, what pages should you add from? One of my favorite techniques is to use this search operator here, where you type in the keywords that your content is about, and then you do a site example.com. This allows you to find relevant pages on your site that are about your target keywords, and those make really good targets to add those links to from your older content. Really obvious step, sharing socially. When you have new content, sharing socially, there's a high correlation between social shares and content ranking, but especially when you share on content aggregators like Reddit, those create actual links for Google to crawl. And so Google can see those signals, see that social activity, sites like Reddit, Hacker News, where they add actual links. And that does the same thing as adding content, adding links from your own content, except it's even a little better because it's external links, it's external signals. So this is kind of advanced technique, which is a little controversial in terms of its effectiveness, but we see it anecdotally working time and time again. And that's simply generating traffic to the new content. Now, there's some debate whether direct traffic is a ranking signal. There's some old Google patents that talk about measuring traffic, and Google can certainly measure traffic using Chrome, so they can see where those sites are coming from. But as an example, Facebook ads. You launch some new content and you drive a massive amount of traffic to it via Facebook ads. You're paying for that traffic, but in theory, Google can see that traffic because they're measuring things using the Chrome browser. And when they see all that traffic going to the page, they can say, hey, maybe this is a page that we need to have in our index, and maybe we need to rank it appropriately. So once we get our content indexed, talk about a few ideas for maybe ranking your content faster. Along with generating traffic to the URL, you can actually generate search clicks. Now, what do I mean by that? So imagine you share a URL on Twitter. Instead of sharing directly to the URL, you share to a Google search result. So people click the link and you take them to a Google search result that has the keywords you're trying to rank for. And people search and they click on your result. You see television commercials do this, like in a Super Bowl commercial. They'll say, Google this, go to Google and search for Toyota cars 2019. And what this does, Google can see that searcher behavior. Instead of going directly to the page, they're seeing people click on Google, choosing your result. So this does a couple of things. It helps increase your click-through rate, which may or may not be a ranking signal, but it also helps you rank for auto-suggest queries. So when Google sees people search for, best cars 2019 Toyota, that may appear in the suggest bar, which also helps you to rank if you're ranking for those terms. So generating search clicks instead of linking directly to your URL is one of those advanced techniques that some SEOs use. Target query deserves freshness. So when you're creating the new content, you can help it to rank sooner if you pick terms that Google thinks deserves freshness. Now, it's best maybe if I just use a couple examples here. Consider a user searching for the term cafes open Christmas 2019. Oh, that's a result that Google wants to deliver a very fresh result for. You want the freshest news about cafes or restaurants that are going to be open Christmas 2019. So if Google is going to preference pages that are created more recently. So when you target those queries, you can maybe rank a little faster. Compare that to a query like history of the Bible. That's probably, if you Google that right now, you'll probably find a lot of very old pages, Wikipedia pages. Those results don't update much, and that's going to be harder for you to crack into those SERPs with newer content. So the way to tell this, simply type in the queries that you're trying to rank for and see how old the most recent results are. That will give you an indication of what Google thinks, how much freshness this query deserves. Choose queries that deserve a little more freshness, and you might be able to get in a little sooner. Finally, last tip. This is something a lot of sites do and a lot of sites don't do because they're simply not aware of it. Leverage URL structure. When Google sees a new URL, a new paged index, they don't have all the signals yet to rank it. So they have a lot of algorithms that try to guess where they should rank it. And they've indicated in the past that they leverage the URL structure to determine some of that. So consider the New York Times puts all its book reviews on under the same URL, newyorktimes.com/book reviews. They have a lot of established ranking signals for all these URLs. So when a new URL is published using this same structure, they can assign it some temporary signals to rank it appropriately. So if you have URLs that are high authority, maybe it's your blog, maybe it's your resources on your site, and you're leveraging an existing URL structure, new content published using the same structure might have a little bit of a ranking advantage, at least in the short run, until Google can figure these things out. So these are only a few of the ways to get your content indexed and ranking quicker. It's by no means a comprehensive list. There's a lot of other ways. We'd love to hear some of your ideas and tips. Please let us know in the comments below, and if you like this video, please share it for me. Thanks, everybody.